So the very beginning of this video, I want to give you guys my thoughts on Dragon Ball Super Broly without having any spoilers. After my intro comes up, then I'm gonna get into heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, just stick around here in the very beginning where I kind of give my very vague sort of impression of the movie. I mean, obviously you've already seen a lot of this stuff online about it, so you have an idea that this movie is the hypest shit since, I don't even know, since Avengers Infinity War, I would say. When it comes to a fandom, this is a pillar to a fandom, to our fandom. But again, I'm gonna be very vague. By the way, I also did a face reveal on Twitter, as I stated I would in my last video. So whoever cares about that, go ahead and check out my Twitter. Don't forget to drop me a follow. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below and also the top comment. I'll probably do more like a video sort of face reveal at 100k. Once we reach our 100k mortals plan, that's when that will go down. What do I think of this movie? Well, I think, as I stated earlier, this is a pillar of Dragon Ball. This movie is right now, I think it was last night at 5 million gross. I'm not exactly sure that was just in North America or worldwide, but I do know that it's on track for something, because I haven't seen a screenplay written so tight, and tight in the sense that it's awesome and also very tightly written, where things don't go to waste. Things have callbacks at the end of the movie that were at the very beginning of the movie. Everything flows, everything has a lot of synergy to it. And the only part that didn't seem like it had too much synergy, but it was integral to building the story between Vegeta, Goku, and Broly, was Dragon Ball Minus's inclusion, because we needed to know that, we needed to see that in anime form, and we needed to get those retcons. That way we could dive in and feel a little bit more for, well, we already feel for Goku and Vegeta, but there's a new character, Broly. This, in essence, is a Broly movie. Just like Avengers Infinity War was the Marvel's version of a Thanos movie, because that movie literally followed Thanos throughout the entire thing. He had the most screen time, he was the main character. I would say that DBS Broly is a Broly film through and through. He is the main character of this movie. He is the one we follow most of the time. He gets the most build up, he gets the most dissection. He gets a lot of stuff here. He even has a conclusion to his arc, and he goes, I'm not gonna spoil that part. Okay, I'm gonna try to not dive into too much spoilers here. But anyway, the movie itself, I have to give a 10 out of 10. This movie blew me out of the water, and I have to compare it to another amazing animation movie for young adults and adults likewise, also young children, is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I thought that was by far one of the best animated movies I've seen in years, and it just worked so well, it flowed so well, it did what it needed to do, and I was worried that Dragon Ball Super Broly wasn't going to live up to the hype of that movie, and it 100% does. It's on the same level, but because the fights were better, I thought, and the fact that I'm a huge Dragon Ball fanboy, is slightly over Marvel, I have to give the edge to Broly as being the better film in my own opinion. I do think, though, that Spider-Man accomplishes more. It accomplishes setting up Miles Morales in one whole movie. It has a better plot, it has a better storyline, but Broly really rides on Broly's development and the fact that we love Dragon Ball, we love Dragon Ball fights, and this is the best that Dragon Ball has ever looked. This is the definitive way that Dragon Ball should always look. I'm sorry, you watch Dragon Ball Heroes now after this, you feel like you're watching the poor man's Dragon Ball, because this is amazing. It just, visually speaking, this is by far one of the most visually stunning animated works that I've seen. It mimics to me some of the stuff that I've seen back in the day for movies like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, those classics, those Japanese animation classics. This is in that same breath, I think. This, the animation wise, it's just top notch. Everything is fluid, everything has movement, everything has purpose. It just feels so good as it's going through these motions effortlessly. The movie does ride on the fact that you should already know a lot about Dragon Ball. I don't see how you can review this movie without at least knowing the main plot points of the Frieza arc in Dragon Ball Z, the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super, and maybe the first Broly movie. I would throw the second one in there just because, but definitely those two Broly movies, because the first one you don't get too much characterization on Broly himself, and the second one you get a little bit more. That's kind of why I threw the second one in there. But I don't see how you can review this movie without at least knowing something about Dragon Ball. You shouldn't go in not knowing anything, unless you're willing to be confused on certain aspects of the movie and you go just for the visuals alone. Because for the visuals, you get your money's worth. This movie, you get your money's worth for this movie. Right now, this is my favorite movie of 2019. I watched it with my brothers, my wife, and my 2 sons, and none of us had anything really negative to say about the movie. The only part that my wife, who is an avid Dragon Ball fan, and as I stated on Twitter, she's really the only female that I saw in the audience. I don't know what happened to the Dragon Ball girls. They didn't turn up last night, at least not in my theater, but she was the only female there. She only nitpicked at one point toward the end of the movie, and it goes into like that CGI sort of animation, and she kind of could see the difference right away. I didn't catch the difference because there was something going on behind the CGI that sort of made me think, what the hell is going on? It blew me away. The movie was a roller coaster ride from start to finish. It really never let up. Even the minus stuff, which was slower and kind of building on us knowing about Bardock, anticipating Guinea, and knowing the whole Paragus deal with King Vegeta and stuff, and just a little bit about the Saiyans, which a lot of us were fans. Almost everybody that was there had some sort of Dragon Ball shirt, Dragon Ball costume, the Saiyan hair. Like, everybody was dressed up. Everyone's gear was dressed up to 100. Everybody was turned up, and they were all fans. So Dragon Ball Minus really was really exciting for us who've seen and waited for the stuff that fleshes out Broly and the Saiyans a little bit more. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Dragon Ball Minus because it retcons the Bardock special, but at the same time, you gotta realize that this makes more sense going into the Broly movie. They had to sort of retcon this to make Broly make more sense and mean more, and I felt for Paragus, and I felt for Bardock. Paragus, literally, this is not a spoiler, literally chases his son because he loves him. He cannot let him go. And Bardock sends his son away because he loves him and he cannot watch him have an inevitably horrible end and not be stubborn and just keep him there. No, he sends him away, and that was probably the most emotional moment in that movie for me. There was a part in the Spider-Man movie that was extremely emotional toward the beginning when it came to the original Spider-Man and Stan Lee, and I got sort of teary-eyed a little bit. This one had the same impact when Guinea was crying and Bardock was sending Goku away, and Goku was crying. Like, I just saw Goku and I got real emotional because we've all seen all the trials and tribulations and things that Goku has gone through and the person he's become, and it just was emotional. It just drew so much emotion out of me. I was surprised how much that part actually hit me, and as a father, I prefer this version of Bardock more, the one that actually gives a shit about his kids. I prefer that more than the battle hungry, I don't give a shit about my own children type of guy. But as a Dragon Ball fan, guys, you need to go watch this movie. You need to go and support it. If you've seen it already online somewhere, and I'm not going to try to judge you here on that, still, borrow $10 and go to whatever theater is playing it and go support this movie, guys, because if you want to get Dragon Ball content of this caliber in a more widespread form where, you know, I don't have to just go at one showing at 7 o'clock in a packed theater, or I can actually get some memorabilia when I'm at the theaters. Like, I can get a Dragon Ball cup, like the stuff they had in Japan. Like, if you want this to be worldwide, if you want this to be like spread out and more popular and make a lot of money and have everybody take notice of this shit, then you need to turn up, guys, and go see this in the movie theaters. This is not only a first watch in the movie theaters, at least in the first week. This is a first buy as soon as it comes out. Blu-ray, 4K, whatever you want to watch it on. This is a first buy. This is a first watch. You need to go see this.
Know your place, worm. Prepare yourself.
now we get to spoilers, and yeah, I'm so glad nobody spoiled the fact that Frieza kills Paragus, because that shit blew me away. I was one of the advocates that they had shown too much in the trailers, they had shown way too much everywhere about the movie, but they were trying to sell it. I can understand that. Even my son, when he got the little picture of Gogeta as a part of your ticket, he was like, hey daddy, doesn't this ruin the ending of the movie? He said that. He's only 7. I'm like, it does, sort of, but don't worry, people already knew Gogeta was going to be in the movie, because they did. And it would have been better to have him secret in the movie, but at the same time, I can understand the selling point of not only having a movie with Broly in it, but also having a movie with Gogeta facing off against Broly, and that being the finale of the whole movie. But going back to that part, Frieza ends up killing Paragus, and then he blames it on a stray shot. And the reason he does this is because right before he does that, he starts thinking about him killing Krillin and Goku going to Super Saiyan. And at this point of the movie, Broly still can't go Super Saiyan. He's going into this Hikaru form where he's using the Grade 8 power, and his dad cut off his tail, so he can't go into Grade 8 form anymore, but he can go into this Grade 8 sort of quasi-humanoid form. And in that form, that's what he's been tanking God and Blue with, and Super Saiyan with. The more angry he gets, the stronger he gets. And so he's doing that. Frieza wants to push him even further. It's the classic case of a Dragon Ball character wanting to see the final form of a different character. So he pushes him into going to Super Saiyan by killing Paragus right there. And then he blames it on a stray shot. And that shit like had gasps throughout the entire movie theaters. Nobody saw that coming. Not one person. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was a great little thing that was hidden, and nobody really spoiled it for me, and I'm glad that nobody did, because going into that, I was excited, because I knew that Paragus wasn't going to survive this, and I was hoping that Broly wasn't the one that kills him, because he actually has a really close connection with Paragus. And Paragus, Broly's girlfriend, she kind of doesn't like Paragus because she thinks that he's controlling him, he's torturing him, all that stuff. So they kind of talk shit about Paragus to Broly at one point. Broly's like, it's not right for you guys to talk bad about my dad. And Broly realizes that his dad is tough on him. And at the same time, though, he still loves his father. And they have a really close connection because his father risked everything. He abandoned his whole culture and his whole species to go be with his son. But he's got this collar around Broly's neck that controls him. It's supposed to control him, or at least send shockwaves through his body. That way he doesn't lose control and go into that Hikaru state, which I'm pretty sure is what his dad was trying to prevent, because he knows that this form is way too powerful and it's going to destroy everything. So he was trying to sort of protect himself, protect the planet they were living on, and protect Broly. But on the same level, when he dies, Broly goes into a rage and turns into Super Saiyan, faces off against Goku and Vegeta, like 10 times stronger than he was before. Like, he's actually taking some really good hits with them. And then the funniest part of the whole movie is Frieza getting his karma paid in full. I was wondering when they were going to teach Vegeta the fusion dance, and they took an hour out of the movie to teach him, because they go into 2 fusions that aren't the right fusion, and so they have to wait 30 minutes each to kind of get that over with and do it again. And so what happens is that they have Broly chase them, and then they end up right in front of Frieza. And very similar to how Frieza had like that disc that he threw at Goku in the Namek saga, and then it cut him, sort of like that. They did that same shit, but Broly is the disc, and then Broly starts pummeling Frieza for legit an hour. Frieza at one point has to go into gold because he's been pummeled for so long. I think it was after one of the fusions, a half hour already passed of him getting pummeled. He tries to face off against Broly with his golden form, but it's still not good enough, and he still gets pummeled. So he does get karma. And Paragus wasn't a Saiyan either, because Paragus had some karma of his own, because he actually took this other Saiyan who was just in his ship. He stole the ship, stole this guy. The guy decided to help him, and then he sort of coerced the guy into helping him find Broly. Once they found Broly and they realized they didn't have enough food, he actually ends up killing this guy. So there was sort of that synergy with that karma. The ending of the movie with Broly becoming one of the good guys and really kind of going back to base. In his base, he's pretty normal, he's pretty chill, and he's with his 2 friends, the girl and the dude, that were following him around the whole movie, the ones that actually found him in the first place, they end up going back to their main planet, and then Goku actually brings them a capsule with a house and some food, and he still wants to train and fight with Broly. And so we know that we're going to see Broly here in the future. He's still in the Universe 7, so if there's a Tournament of Power 2, we know who they're going to be calling. They're going to call him Broly. And at the very end, Broly's girl goes, "What's your name anyway?" And then Goku goes, "My name's Goku, but Broly, you can call me Kakarot." Dude, that shit sent shivers down my body. Goku has never been one to accept his Saiyan nature, his Saiyan history, because of all the horrible things Saiyans have done. And so when he saw his brother for the first time, and his brother had stolen his son and tried to convince him to kill 100 people, and his brother was so evil, and he saw the Saiyans that's so evil, I think that's what made him reject the Saiyan lineage. But now that he's found another good Saiyan, because Broly is a good Saiyan from the very beginning, he doesn't actually become good like Vegeta. He actually is good. He only gets more angry and evil looking and sadistic when he goes into his Hikaru form, but he never actually did anything evil in the movie. He was just fighting Goku and Vegeta. But that's the reason I think that Goku kind of accepted his Saiyan heritage, because of Broly being a good guy and finding another good Saiyan in the universe, at least in Universe 7. I definitely loved how that scene played out, and I definitely love how that was the last thing we saw in the movie. That was the very end, so that was fan-fucking-tastic. Vegeta did pretty good against Broly for a while, and he actually was tanking him for a little bit, but then he ended up taking an L, but it was a well-deserved L because he actually put up a good fight. And then Goku took one too. The fight between Goku and Broly was really interesting because they were basically grappling at one point. It was really cool, and you could tell that they really did their homework and put a lot of research into the different way that Vegeta fights and the different way that Goku fights. The whole movie was essentially one fight scene, and honestly the whole movie could have been an episode of Dragon Ball Super. It was that sort of story where, or at least a two-parter. One part had Dragon Ball Minus and the other part had the fight with Broly, because that's basically what the movie turned out to be. The one part that I stated earlier that my wife kind of had a nitpick on was the fact that when they first transformed into, like, Broly transformed into his huge bulking form without any armor, and Gogeta went into his Super Saiyan Blue form, they were fighting and it looked like they were in sort of like that CGI sort of Pixar looking animation, and it sort of pulled you out of the movie a little bit. Not me, but at least for her it did, because the rest of the animation looks so drastically different, and this was sort of jarring, I guess, for her. But for me it didn't, and the reason why was because when they did this, it was like they went into a different dimension. It was weird. They had broken through reality. They were fighting in this place with a bunch of rainbow colors, and it looked like they were in the Digiverse or something. It was really interesting to watch, and that's kind of why I didn't focus on their models at all, because I was looking at the surrounding area. I was looking at and theorizing in my head, what the hell are they doing? Are they in a different dimension? You remember how Gotenks and Majin Buu were able to break dimensions to get out of the hyperbolic time chamber? That's sort of what seemed to be happening. Or when Buhan was getting super angry and he was breaking reality at the same time. Yeah, that sort of seems to be what was going on. But if that was an intentional choice for us, at least for me anyway, it was good because it made me take my focus off the models and just focus on the surrounding area. So I didn't think it was that bad, honestly. It was definitely way better than Resurrection of F's and Battle of Gods CGI battles. Now, Broly's girlfriend is by far the MVP of this movie. She was great. All the voice actors are great. All the lines were great. The whole story was really good, but extra emphasis on this brand new character. She was basically like a younger Bulma, and Broly was kind of like Goku. So it was kind of like if Bulma ended up being with Goku, sort of, because she acted just like Bulma, and Broly sort of acts like Goku a little bit. She definitely had a lot to do. She moved the plot forward a lot. The reason the Paragus couldn't control Broly at one point was because she had stolen the electric shock remote control, and she was the one that even saved Broly's life. At one point, Gogeta was going to kill Broly, and she asked the dragon to save Broly's life and bring him back to the original planet that he was on, and she did. The dragon wished him back there. He went back to normal. And I love that this is the way the movie ended, honestly. Even Gogeta was happy that he didn't have to kill him, I think. But Gogeta, guys. Gogeta versus Broly. I gotta say, Broly is extremely powerful, but when it came to Gogeta, at one point, it was sort of sad to see Gogeta just basically beating the hell out of this guy. He was beating him to death, it seemed like. At one point, he did this move where he crossed his arms, we all saw it in the trailer, but he actually had punched Broly, and a power engulfed Broly, and then that's what exploded. He had made that explode. It looked really phenomenal. Gogeta, I don't know. Before the movie, I thought Kefla was my favorite fusion out of all of them because I just love her design. I love the way she moved and her attacks and stuff like that. But Gogeta's such a badass, and you could tell how much more powerful Gogeta is than Broly at the end. Even the legendary form Broly, he was so much more powerful, and it was very faithful to what a lot of people had hypothesized Gogeta being, or how strong Gogeta was going to be compared to Broly. And since Gogeta is as strong as Vegito, I think they had said that, they had stated that, the creator of Gogeta, or the designer of Gogeta has stated that they're about the same strength. Either way, Gogeta was phenomenal, and just the design of Gogeta, the fighting, he was definitely the highlight of the movie. And I gotta tell you guys, I had so much fun. I'm so glad that the Dragon Ball community can get a movie on the same caliber for their fandom, in my opinion, similar to Avengers Infinity War. That, for the Marvel fanboys, for the Marvel community, for the Marvel cinematic community, that was their pillar. This is our pillar. I think this is on the same wavelength and the same level as that movie for this fandom. I'm so excited. This is phenomenal, and I want to watch the movie again as soon as I can. 10 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought. This is going to be BlackScape signing off. Take care, guys.